Today is Thursday, July 6th, 2023, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 436. Bruce, I had a couple good stories this week, but I don't see either one of them here, so I'll turn it over to you.
I like to hear good stories. Hopefully they show up. Good success stories, I assume, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. I had a good story that I heard earlier today as well from someone that's been. I'm not going to call them by name because I'd like them to be able to show up in another week or two. I don't see anyone here. But someone that I talked to that's been with us since 2015, which was back in the beginning, saying that they've done a decent job, but they've let plenty of people slide. A lot of leads go uncalled, and it's their best converting lead source. So if you guys want that to be you, just plug in, make sure that you're doing the work. If you're already a subscriber, if you're not a subscriber, you can get a really, really good, strong leg of your business out of probate. And I encourage everyone to do that. Who are we? Just in case you don't know, this is the All the Leads Mastermind. All the Leads provides probate leads and probate marketing systems to agents and investors around the country. If you want to check your county out, you can do it at alltheleads.com. You can either chat with support, call the number on the page, or check your county for your average number of leads or pricing. This mastermind is Q&A style, so we want to hear from you guys with your questions, with your comments, with your success stories, anything probate related. So I see I have a couple of hands up in the air right now. And that's basically how you guys are going to ask your questions. So if you're here live with us on the call, go down to the reactions button and click the raise your hand icon. We will call on you. You can ask your questions or share a success story, either one. If you're not on Zoom with us, you might be watching via live stream, YouTube or Facebook. If you chat your question in, we have moderators that are watching those questions. They'll send the questions to us coaches, and we'll be able to answer your questions on the call here. If you're listening after the fact on podcast or maybe the YouTube channel, join us next time. Join us live. If you're here and you want to go watch past recordings, you can either download the All the Leads podcast app, or you can go subscribe to the All the Leads YouTube channel. A lot of great content there. So without further ado, let me kick it to Tim really quickly, and then we'll start getting to some questions and some success stories. It's good to see one of our coaches, Kelly, on the call as well. Hey, Kelly, good to see you.
Yeah, this is real quick. It's really interesting. I've been listening to some previous meetings and kind of going through what we're doing and all the cool things that always happen every week on this call. And I've always found it really interesting that we always hear voices from people like Roger Lisi and Doug, who's on here now, and other people who are finding unique success and doing kind of clever and unique things. And I think the coolest part about this call is that it's all very supportive. It's one of the few places that I ever go on the internet where there's a bunch of people on a call, and it's kind of like I'm always there and never has heard a discouraging word. This is just a great support community, and I want to applaud all of us for being on it. This is probably one of the most uplifting hours that I spend in the course of every week. And we all look forward to it, Jim and Bruce and I and the coaches and everybody else who's on here. Y'all keep coming back. A lot of the same smiling faces I see here every week. And I know you're here for some of the same reasons. We get a lot out of this. And it's not just every once in a while, you'll find a gem of something that somebody's doing that you hadn't thought of doing and all that. But it's uplifting to hear people doing good stuff, even if, they're not just touting their latest, greatest opportunity. So I just wanted to make an observation that, thank you all for being here and enriching each other's lives as well, because that's what helps us all feel good about what we do every day. That was it. It's just a positive note.
Great. Perfect. So before I go to Douglas, I am going to answer a question that just came in through chat. By the way, guys, sometimes I'm watching a separate screen where where we have some of the chats that come in through Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and I'm not always looking directly at the Zoom chat. You can feel free to Zoom chat. We have moderators looking at that too. They'll send it to us coaches. But if you're sending a message directly to me by any chance, I may not look at it instantly. I did happen to see this one instantly, and normally this one's talking about a competitor of ours. Normally I might respond to it directly, but I'm going to respond to it directly, I would normally respond to it in chat. I'm going to go ahead and respond to it on the podcast today. A gentleman had purchased a set of probate leads from a different provider. I don't have the name and it doesn't matter. But about 30% of those leads have no mailing address for the personal representative. So I'm going to kind of point that out just because it does tend to show what happens if you've gone somewhere else and picked up leads sometimes is the phone numbers are not there. The mailing addresses are not there. And we know that we're going to teach you guys an approach of making sure that you're calling, mailing, and driving traffic back to a website. Are there more things that you can do? Absolutely. But those are kind of the core three principles of prospecting probate leads. And if you're missing addresses and phone numbers, or your phone numbers are bad, obviously it kind of cuts the legs out from underneath of that three-tiered approach that we're teaching. So with that said, let me talk to you about what you do if you ever do run into a probate lead and there's just no mailing address. I would mail directly to the decedent's address. Hopefully there are phone numbers for you to call, but I would go with a heavy approach of mailing to the decedent address, and I may even pop by the decedent address with a door hanger as well. So I'm gonna try as best I can to get my message in front of the personal representatives, in front of the heirs, the executors for that estate. And if there's nobody at the house, at least I can leave something on the door. I can leave a packet inside the storm door, possibly. I can still work the phones, hit the phones really hard. And I know that at some point, somebody is going to go to the property and check that. And hopefully it's a decision maker. So make sure that if you're missing the personal representative address, because maybe it's a different lead provider, something like that, that at least you're going to the decedent's address. Is that the perfect address to be putting your mail and your information in front of? No, it's not the perfect address, but someone will get to that house eventually, especially if they're in town and can go by. Now, if they're out of state, out of area, they may not go by the property, but at least you've got a good chance of catching them if they have someone local. All right.
Hey, Bruce, I want to bring something up, and I don't want to dwell on negatives, but I think it's worth addressing. We haven't talked about it in a long time. Every week I contact everybody who canceled, and it always gets me just a little bit when I hear from someone, there were too many wrong phone numbers, and I don't think people understand where we're getting the phone numbers. People don't go down and file probate and say, here are all my phone numbers. Mm-hmm. So it might make sense to just take a second and explain the process of the phone numbers and which ones you should call first.
Sure. So typically when you're getting the phone numbers through all the leads, you're going to have anywhere from many times 3 to 5 phone numbers and sometimes additional names. Generally speaking, that first phone number and name combination is most likely to be the most relevant. It's likely to be the most relevant. It's done through skip tracing. So we're trying to identify PR name, so personal representative name, which is a court record, along with their relative, the decedent. So we're pairing that with the decedent name, and then we're going out and trying to identify what the most accurate phone number is. Now, there are absolutely times when that is not the right phone number. So that's why we give 3 to 5 additional contacts and phone numbers. So when you're looking through your leads, you may see 2 or 3 phone numbers for the personal representative. Now, how many of you here have 3 phone numbers? Not many. So one of those is likely to be accurate. 1 or 2 of those may not be accurate, but then we're going to try to match you with a spouse maybe a sibling or a parent as well, someone else that's an heir that may be involved in that estate, so that you have multiple ways if your top way or two of communicating with someone aren't there. And if all else fails, you have the personal representative address that you can mail to. You can do door knocking. You can do pop buys. You also have the decedent's address that you can mail to, do pop buys, leave door hangers, leave little packets of information if you want. So there's a lot of different ways, and you need to take all of them, especially if your primary way, which might be calling the first number on the list, doesn't seem to work. Go ahead and drop down that list. Our numbers are pretty accurate in most scenarios. And so 80% of the time, I just arbitrarily made that number up, but about 80% of the time, that first number on there is going to be the person that you want to get a hold of. And if not, you have a lot of backups.
Yeah.
I'll follow up on that. Occasionally I'll hear, I spoke to John Smith and he didn't know anything about it. He wasn't the executor of the estate. People don't completely understand. If it's a common name, there's probably a lot of John Smiths in every town. So
I've heard that once or twice. It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare
Yeah,
that I hear that, but it happens.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for clarifying that.
Right. You also need to add one other thing, which is that in many cases, it's exactly that, where you've got a duplicate name or an interesting name, and it's like real skip tracing. If you were to go out and hire a private investigator, and that private investigator, I said, hey, I want to know everything I can know about Bruce Hill. First off, that would be a scary thing. I don't think I want to know that. But
Nope.
If I were to do that, what I would get back is, well, here's all the stuff that I found out. And, one of those is that Bruce used to live at 123 Elm Street in, some town. And by the way, right shortly after he moved from that, something happened there. And here's some other extraneous information. And here's the next door neighbor that showed up as living next door. I mean, we go down to the level of affinity in some of this as well. We try to get everything we can to fill in the blanks as best we can. And we're not just putting numbers up there for drill. Every number that shows up in the data that we give you is a number that in one way or another, at least through the algorithms that we use and the methodology we use, is associated with that person. So it's not that those numbers are wrong. It's that, that at some point they were the valid numbers in regard to doing that. Now, we're not pre-calling them for you. That part of that is you have to do a little bit of work. That's kind of the idea, but we're giving you a great shot at doing that. They're not just random, series of 7 phone numbers or 10 digits that we can give you. There's some reason that we gave you that number, but like Bruce said, start to the left and work to the right, and you'll get the best results in terms of doing that. But none of them are, specifically inaccurate. They can be based on the data that we found. We're not calling them. That's your job.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Jim. Let's go to our first hand, Mr. Converse. Douglas, how are you doing? Go ahead and unmute yourself. You should be able to.
Okay,
there you
is
go.
that good?
Hey, yeah, we got you. How are you?
I'm so very well. And I just want to say thank you to you guys for, especially you, Bruce, for redirecting my focus for the art of sales. Because you know what's been going on with my life. I have this one woman who has a portfolio she's getting ready to sell. She sent me a text a few days ago, 2 days before the 4th of July, saying, I'm so lucky to have a knowledgeable friend like you in the business. She referred to me as a friend, not her agent. And then she said in all capital letters, one of these days, very soon, I'm going to take you to lunch, and I look forward to that day. Thank you, Douglas. And it's like, that's not normal. And then this woman with the 160 townhomes, she sent me a text on the 3rd of July saying, Douglas, I'm preparing for a huge barbecue for my family. Would you like to come up and meet everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Then number 3, one of them referred me to one of their friends who has a plot of land overlooking the Columbia River in an area called Yakima for 571 homes. And the buyer is already in place. and the funding is getting put in place, and they want me to create a sales team to sell all the plots. And this has all come from just a very few amount of phone calls, just following this idea that it's not about me, it's about what I can do for you. And I'm just, you know, I'm just very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. Appreciate it. And I want to kind of talk to everyone about recrafting your sales approach. So often, we either get probate leads, and you're a little bit intimidated to start these conversations because you don't want to be an ambulance chaser. You don't want to come off like you're just trying to prey on someone's moment of need. And so you don't do anything, or you don't really think about that. And you do come across as though you're preying on someone's moment of need. And when you can reverse the psychology of the person that you're speaking with, they're going through a tough time. They don't know what they're doing. A lot of times this process is new. They have a lot on their plate. Many times they're not even quite certain what they want to do with real estate yet. And so if you can reverse this and truly seek to become a resource, and better yet, a friend, you're really going to establish long-term relationships that do end up leading to business. The majority of the folks that I have helped in probate, and this is serious, the majority of the people that I've helped in probate, many of them, especially those that I helped more than 2 or 3 years ago, many of them have started bringing me family members. They've done multiple pieces of business with me because we've truly become friends. And you can't look at this as just a quick payday for yourself and for your business. You need to look at it as you need to become a resource. You need to become a linchpin in their life to be able to connect them wherever they need to go with whatever need they might have. So thanks, Douglas. I appreciate that. Let's go to Mr. Dwayne Olson. Go ahead, sir. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hello to everyone. Hope everyone enjoyed the 4th of July and remembered what it was about. I just have a quick question here. It has to do with, if I'm not mistaken, when it was a couple of weeks ago, talking about older leads, something near and dear to me. But talking about that, it was, I think, Tim that brought up, that's where you can apply it. Is it the Property Plus program? Is that what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just had gone on there earlier, and I noticed that the YouTube has been taken down. There's a note on taken down. And so I was just curious when that might be put back or whatever.
Tim, do you know what that's about?
That was for last week's podcast, you're saying, Dwayne?
No, it's when I'm on the ATL website and I go to whatever drop down, I don't remember, but it was to get to this is an explanation. It's watch an overview of how to use Property Plus to make the most of your probate leads using the ATL CRM. So when I go to that, it says video has been removed for violating YouTube's terms of service.
Okay, well, I will look into that.
I'm sorry if that's a surprise to anybody. I didn't, I just thought
I'll
I'd
look
ask
into
about
that one, Dwayne, and have somebody reach out to you with an updated link as soon as we've got that fixed. Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
So-
and
That's something. I've had videos removed off of YouTube for violating their terms of service, and sometimes it'll list off some of the terms of service. So I did a short training video where I was talking about prospecting, and it said that I was violating the terms of service by exploiting minors or something like that, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the video. So sometimes their algorithm just gets a little haywire and catches something that it shouldn't have caught. So that's what. Thanks, Dwayne. If anyone ever does see that, do exactly what Dwayne did, point it out, because maybe we didn't notice that they removed a video.
yeah. Now, since that is the program that works well with older leads, do I understand correctly that once that's applied and used, whatever that may mean, do we end up paying the $2 for the leads that have brought success? Or if we have 100 leads, are we having to pay $2 a piece no matter what? I'm a little curious about that.
Yep. It's $2 per probate case that you put through the system. So let's pretend you have 100 leads and you've already spoken with 30 of them, and you know their situation. You don't even need to check on those. And maybe you have 10 leads that have properties that you're just not interested in. So now, as long as you've gone in and excluded those leads from Property Plus, and then you run that list through, it'll only charge you $2 per lead that's left on your list. So if you don't want that particular probate record to be run through Property Plus, you check a little box that says exclude from Property Plus, but it's going to charge you $2 for each one that you do run through the system, regardless of whether they're still property or not.
Okay, thanks. That's pretty much it.
Yep. Good. Perfect. Well, thank you, Dwayne. By the way, little light on questions so far. So I do want to remind everyone that we're here to we're here to help you guys. We're here to give you the coaching, the answers that you're looking for. So please, if you do have any questions that you've thought about, or any wins or success stories, or want to talk about your time working probate or with all the leads, please raise your hand or chat the questions in. We'd love to hear from you guys. Otherwise, it'll be a short call. So I'm going to point to a question that Rita Boswell just brought up, a statement that Rita Boswell just gave, is that she uses forewarn.com to get some accurate phone numbers as well. So if you guys ever run into an issue where maybe the personal representative phone number isn't right, and all you have is a sibling or a cousin or something like that, and you're trying to find the personal representative, you could always go and look through Forewarn. There's a couple of other skip tracing platforms, and admittedly, they're not quite as good as the platforms that we use. However, they are different. So they may provide slightly different data if one of the leads that you're trying to get a hold of just isn't showing you the accurate information. So I want everyone to know that that is something that you could do. I really appreciate the comment. That helps. Chris, what are the ways that you can partner with an out-of-state agent? So how do you partner with an out-of-state agent? I would keep yourself somewhat open on really tight partnerships with out-of-state agents, mainly because you don't really know if you're going to send them a lot of business. So I have a couple of agents and investors in Charlotte, which is about 2.5 hours for me. It's a heavy back and forth between. A lot of people get transferred between the two cities. Richmond, Virginia would be another one where I get people that are transferred here and out of here to Richmond, Virginia. So you may want to find those areas where you get a lot of people moving back and forth between, maybe job transfers, and find yourself a few agents. Austin, Texas, of course, this is probably the same thing for a lot of you guys. I get a lot of people that come here from Austin, Texas, and that go to Austin, Texas. So finding yourself a person or two in those areas. Don't bank on it. It's not as though you're just going to get flooded with business. My agents in Charlotte, I get are good for about one client per year, and that's a lot. So you don't want to kind of hang your hat on getting business out of that agent you've partnered with in a city that's 3 hours away from you. The reality is you just want to market and make sure that you have access and can go find people in the markets that they're moving in and out of. Just get access. You don't have to form strong partnerships unless it's a city or market that's adjoining yours. Okay, hopefully that helps. Nancy, how do you handle the DNC list? Oh my gosh. And Nancy, I'm laughing. I love the question. I'm laughing because we're never going to tell you guys to go and call the DNC list ever. We do provide those numbers because they are relevant ways to contact the leads. Your understanding of the TCP laws and the potential ramifications of calling the DNC list are where we're going to tell you to go. Is just go study up on what that potential is and then make the decision for yourself. I can tell you that most of the time, especially if it was the personal representative, they are putting themselves out there to receive calls, especially when it comes to calls with people collecting money. We're also providing a service. Now, you might be selling. One of you might call and say, hey, I see that someone died. Do you want to sell the house? That's kind of a no-no for what we teach anyway. If that's you, you're certainly putting yourself at more risk because it's more of a sales call. But if you're calling truly to offer service and assistance and help, it's less likely that you're going to run into any issues with someone being on the DNC list. However, we can't really tell you that you need to call everyone or tell you that you should scrub everyone out. We're just simply providing you with the information so that you can make that decision. And I'd love to go deeper, but I can't.
Jim wants to.
I'd add one other thing to what you said. It's kind of, we get this same question probably every other week, and I appreciate the question. It's not, we're not laughing at you for asking. We always struggle with the best answer to give you, and that's what Bruce is chuckling about. I chuckle about the same thing. But I will point another thing out. It's one thing, Bruce said that if you're calling and you say, I want to buy your house, well, that's a sales solicitation, and that's straight up what that is. Same thing is true if what you're offering them, if what you're basically saying is, I've got this suite of services, and in my suite of services, I've got a clean out crew and an estate sale company and all that. Well, you're also potentially offering those as saleable items as well. And the key to making this function is basically to say, I've got a wealth of resources at my disposal, including the following, without, some kind of conversation about, what you might charge and all of that. And are any of these things that you're struggling with trying to handle? Because if you do, I'd like to help you, at least talk to you about what I have. And if the answer is no, well, then you can move on. I can also say that, we've been doing these calls since 2016. And as of date so far, not heard anybody that said, somebody who said, I'm on the do not call list. You're a miserable, no good so-and-so because you called me. Occasionally hear somebody say, I'm on the do not call list. Don't call me anymore, for sure. But the TCPA laws are there to basically, they were put into place to stop robocalling. That's the purpose of them. It's not individual one-on-one kind of commerce kinds of things they're dealing with. Very specifically, if you put a bunch of phone numbers into a dialer and bang away at them, and you're basically doing it, and the first time you get somebody on the phone, it's like, hey, I want to buy your house that Uncle Fred lived in. Well, you're pushing the envelope pretty hard. If you approach things the way we teach you how to do this, generally speaking, you're not going to make anybody upset. So it's a matter of how you approach it, what your mindset is, and what you're looking at when you get there. Your objective is to get to the point where you're building relationships that will allow you to have the kind of crazy things that Doug was talking about earlier, where you've done so much to help people that they're falling all over themselves trying to work with you, and you literally kind of approach it with a servant mentality. And I know I'm kind of gilding the lily here, but it's important to know that a lot of this is the approach that you're taking. And Doug, I see you raised your hand, buddy. I will stop talking and let you talk.
And Dwayne, I will say, I will kind of add on to that in my calling, I've had a few people that have said I'm on the do not call list. And I'll tell you, a lot of people want, many times an apology is all that's needed. And I will fall on my sword really hard if someone goes, don't you know I'm on the do not call list? Instead of just hanging up, which is the temptation, you panic, you hang up, you leave that call with them being mad. You may just go, listen, I am so sorry. I apologize. Please understand. I won't bother you anymore. And I've had people that have literally said, hey, while I'm on the phone, what was it about? They've calmed down really fast. I've been able to turn people from upset to curious about what it was about. It doesn't happen every time, but when you handle it appropriately and you apologize, a lot of times people will say, "Hey, what was it about?" And they kind of calm down. They just sort of lashed out in the beginning. And this doesn't happen very often. I want everyone to know it does not happen very often, but somebody lashes out at you in the opening. And if you apologize and fall on your sword, they'll calm down and actually ask you what you're calling about. All right. Now we'll go to Dwayne. Dwayne, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, to be candid, this very same subject, it plays a role into why it's taken me a long time to get started. However, I just wanted to say, for the benefit of those that, like me, fall in this category or are not aware, I just thought I'd throw it out there that the prospecting class that Bruce teaches, in that class, you can learn about responding. I've thought about it quite a bit recently because I've probably taken it at least 4, maybe 5 times. And what Bruce goes over in response and so forth, for those of you who want to learn more about it, within what he teaches there, you can pick up quite a bit of ammunition, information, etc., to find some success with. So that's it. I'm only interrupting because I don't see anybody else's hand up. So my advice is to take Bruce's class, learn more about dialogue. That's what I was looking for. The dialogue where you can address some of these things. That's it.
Yeah. Thanks, Dwayne. We're going to be rolling up some new classes on the site here really, really soon. That class is going to get migrated into another class that here in the very near future. So you guys be on the lookout for some of the other classes that are coming up. Certifications are going to be offered, a lot of really, really cool stuff.
Hey, Bruce, I just saw a face pop on the screen and I know he has a question, an old friend of mine. Raphael Monterey, I know I've been looking for you. I know you had a question, so raise your hand.
I'll just ask him to unmute himself. You don't have to raise your hand. Raphael, I just gave you the permission to unmute yourself.
I've known Raphael for half my real estate career, going way back to when we used to coach together. And he is a seasoned pro. I think he's been getting our leads for the better part of 8 years now in a very competitive market. So pay attention to what he says. But it was more of a question than a story, right, Raphael?
Yes, we're trying to do a invitation for attorneys to come to our office. I have a whole bunch of divorce attorneys and probate attorneys that are going to be attending, and I would like to contact more of them and invite them. And so it's going to be a catered event, and hopefully we'll get some interest. I'm going to try to get also a company, not a company, but a foundation, and they can maybe make contributions if they want to come. It's like a fundraiser. I'm going to try to find an excuse for them to come. And I talked to another attorney friend of mine, and he may even have a class to teach attorneys travel law, a little bit of introduction. So we're trying to get ideas. Has anybody ever done an event like this? And we want to hear any feedback or any thoughts.
So I want to know from some of you that have done this, if you have done something like this, I would go ahead and pop your hand up. If you've done something like this, we'll call on you. I've done a lot of events over the years. I enjoy doing events. I enjoy meeting attorneys. I haven't done a specific attorney event, but I've gone to attorney events, and I think that you're onto something as offering a fundraiser. I think you're really onto something, because if it's just an event that says, "Hey, come meet Raphael and send me all your business," nobody's going to show up.
Right,
so
right.
I'd like to know, Raphael, what aside from a fundraiser, what is the other piece of your
I'm going to have an appraiser here. I'm going to have a painters. I'm going to have people that divorce lawyers could use, or probate attorneys may be able to need. And we have the FloridaProbateGroup.com that we help people sell their homes, get them ready to sell, and that's what we're going to be introducing that to them.
Okay.
To see.
Do you know what sort of fundraiser? What's the
It's the Kids of Love. It's kids that have cancer in the hospital in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Kids of Love.
Okay.
Basically, that's what we're thinking about doing. Like, so it's a combination. It's just we're trying to brainstorm, make it interesting and a reason for them to be here. And then I want to have door prizes, maybe 2 or 3 baskets or door prizes that we can give them to entice them to come.
That's I would almost go to the attorneys and just build this as a fundraiser. So you're doing right. You're building it as a fundraiser, and I would ask them to potentially donate something. So I would go to the attorneys and say, if you'd like to contribute, would you donate something? Because there's no better way to get someone to show up than if they've contributed something to the event. So instead of just saying, come, please be a guest, I would ask them to contribute, because then they'll probably show up. It's unlikely.
Like a door prize, contribute.
Yeah. It's unlikely if they have a door prize or say an hour of free service or something like that. Now, it's going to be a lot of attorneys, so they probably aren't going to offer a free service, but it's a fundraiser and networking event. And if you provide a door prize, we would appreciate it, and that'll really help. Okay.
Beautiful.
And anybody else, just let us know what you guys have done in the past. And I've heard stories of people kind of standing back by the food table and just sort of standing to the side. And when people go up to the food or go up for food or go up to the bar, you just say, "Hey, I've seen you here. What do you do?" And reach out and just start a conversation there, because you got to find where you're going to be able to grab the attention of the attorneys that are there at a place where they're most likely to engage with you. And when they're all in the middle of a room talking with their other attorney buddies, it's going to be a little more difficult, a little more awkward to just go butt in. Now, Raphael, you're probably an extrovert, and I would certainly have no problem butting in. But if you do have a problem butting into a group of attorneys, then go stand by the bar or the food bar and grab their attention as they come by and introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, thank you. We'd like the input.
Wish we had a little bit more for you. I love the idea, though.
Well,
Bruce,
just in
I had-
case you come something, tell Jim and he can send it to me. Just if you.
Okay.
Anybody else.
My initial reaction was the same as yours, Bruce. How many attorneys will show up, just kind of meet you? And I was pleasantly surprised. Raphael said he's had several confirm already, right? Or you've had a handful of attorneys confirm already.
Oh, I have a few
So-
attorneys already telling me they want to come and have fun. Yeah.
Okay. The other thought I had is this something, maybe this would work, maybe it wouldn't. Is this something you might want to record and turn into a podcast, or at least elements of it for the people that don't show up? Send it, because Raphael was going with me over how do I get the attorney information? How do I get their emails? How do I get their phone numbers?
What I need to
So
figure out
is
is
it-
how do I get the attorney's emails or phone numbers? That's what the next question.
So Raphael, is it going to be a presentation that you could record, or is it going to be more like a party or a meeting?
It's going to be a party, and then I have an attorney friend of mine that teaches a law course, and he's
Okay.
willing to do like a class for travel law. That's
Okay.
would be one of his specialties. So we may
Interesting.
have some kind of a course on the side.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you.
I like it. Nancy had a great idea. She said that you should bring some of your resources, some of your vendors to
We are.
the.
They're gonna be participating.
I
They're
love
gonna
it.
be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, the idea behind networking is that when you're not there, people talk about you. Not when you're not in the room, you're in the room,
Right.
but when you step away, people talk about you. And I do this with my sphere of influence. I bring everyone together and they don't know each other, and I will put 2 people together and then I leave,
Okay.
because there's no better way to get your business and yourself bragged about than when you're not the one doing it. So the second you walk away from that connection you've just made, they go, "Well, how do you know Raphael?" "Oh, I know Raphael because I send him my probate leads," or "I know Raphael because I take care of his clients with my HVAC services," things like that. So you get people to talk about you because they don't know each other. They're going to go to the path of least resistance. "How do you know Raphael?" So that's what I want to do in rooms. Instead of standing there going, "Hey, let me tell you about me," I let somebody else tell them about me
Okay.
while I'm not there. All right. Good. We've had a couple of questions pop in about what to say on the phone. What to say on the phone to kind of try to get those listings. And there have been a few of you that have chatted in this question. So Ayana had asked if you had 60 seconds on the phone, what are the top 3 or 5 action steps you'd advise for an executor? I'm not going to make any advice inside of 60 seconds. No advice. I am going to open up and create some curiosity, and I'm going to give a quick delivery of my unique selling proposition with a guiding question at the end of it. I am not going to give advice. There is a proverb, and I don't know what it is. If somebody knows what it is, please chat it in. I've heard this about 10 million times from my parents growing up, and it goes like this: unwanted advice turns the teeth on edge. Unwanted advice turns the teeth on edge. So last thing I'm going to do is try to give advice to someone that doesn't know me, doesn't like me, doesn't trust me, and hasn't asked for that advice. So I'm simply going to open up with something like, hi, my name's Bruce Hill. I was looking for Ayana, but I don't know if I have the right number. Is this Ayana? It is. Good. Ayana, still, I'm not sure if it's the right one. Are you involved? Are you the personal representative for the estate of John Doe? You are. If that was a family member, I'm sorry for the loss. Could I take maybe a really quick second to kind of tell you what I was calling about? Yes. Ayana, I'm kind of offering a service to the personal representatives in the area that the court has helped me identify as maybe it's their first time going through probate. Can I ask you, have you ever been through the process before, or is this your first time? So that's a steering, guiding question. It kind of makes them talk about their journey through the process. I'm not giving them advice yet. Once they start giving me some back and forth and some feedback, now I can offer some advice later in that call, or maybe once we get face to face, or maybe it'll be a second or a third call, because they might reject me on the first call. They might resist me, maybe not reject me, but they might resist me. So I would probably not jump straight to advice. All right. Anybody else? Let's look and see if we have chats.
Oh, are you talking? Yeah, I definitely am ready to rock and roll. I want to talk about our upcoming training class if you want to go
Great.
there.
Let's do it.
Okay. Hey, Lisa, if you'd pop up that slide, I'd like to talk about that for a second. So if you are a regular visitor on our call, you met Tim Tolbert a couple of weeks ago, and Tim was talking to us about mortgage training, or his mortgage brokerage, and the types of lending that's going on right now. And a lot of you had great responses to that, and it was very well received. And both he and his wife Andy are instructors. They've run real estate investment associations before. They run the Central Florida Real Estate Investment Association, and both of them are trainers and have been involved in all kinds of training and stuff like that in real estate for over 20 years. And we've decided to have them teach our investing course, which is coming up on the 12th. That's next week, and it's free. Run about 2 hours. And certainly, if you're a real estate agent and you want to get into real estate investing and you want to kind of find out what that's all about, this is a great place to get your feet wet. You'll see up in the top right-hand corner of the slide that's on the screen, there's a link to www.alltheleads.com/training and a QR code. If you are so inclined to click on QR codes, they both take you to the same place. Scroll down and find the Investing in Real Estate course. Click on the button. It's free. It'll take you into the area where you put your information and fill it out, and you'll get registered, be notified, and you'll reserve your seat in the class. In addition to that, it'll be 2 hours of training with Andy, and she's fun to talk to and fun to listen to, and it'll be great. But in addition to that, they're also going to be talking about a pretty innovative program that they also offer as a follow-on to this course, which is they call a virtual bus trip. And they've been doing the bus trips for a while. And those of you who are investors know that that generally says it's the hop on the bus, Gus program. They'll literally take you out and look at property. And so what we're doing now, this kind of started during COVID, is they did them then, and they took a few people out in Orlando area where they live near there, and did go out masked and go look at property. Now we're doing the same thing. We're going to do it on a live stream. So anywhere in the country, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to see them, go through houses and look at the things that they need to look at, which you would need to look at if you're going to make investments, and what the considerations are that they have that they make to make buying decisions and creating offers. So that's a follow-on to this, and she'll be talking about that on the class as well. So in 2 hours, you're going to get some good fundamentals, and it'll be an exciting time for you, and then an opportunity to participate further with them as they go forward. And this is kind of the beginning of our expansion of our training program. Bruce also mentioned that we're making some changes in our overall offering, and we've been kind of toying with that for a while, and we're beginning to kick all these things off. So we've got that going. We've got an attorney that will be putting a course on probably in the month of August. That'll be our August new training course that we'll offer there. And we're looking forward to continuing to grow this part of our business, because you need to make sure that you're hitting on all cylinders, and this is a great place to go. We always tell agents that they certainly need to be looking for investment opportunities, and conversely, if you're an investor, you definitely need to be partnering with an agent, and you'll talk all about that. So if you haven't signed up yet, please do. We've already got a bunch of people signed up. I think last I checked, it was well over 50 folks that had signed up. Obviously, that's been building up over a while. So if you haven't done it, or you forgot about doing it, make sure that you do get signed up. We'd like to see you there. When you click on the link, just scroll down to the appropriate place where it shows the investing in real estate course. Click on it, it's free, and get signed up.
I'm gonna say,
Go ahead.
Tim, there are a lot of people that signed up under this when I was going to teach it. So if you are looking at this and going, oh, that's something different than Bruce was going to teach, this is the one that I was going to teach. So if you signed up for one that I was teaching, this is the one. I was going to teach you guys from an agent's perspective, and you want to be learning from someone who's an actual investor. So this class is going to be probably much better than you were going to get from me.
Right, and she is both an agent. She's an agent, a broker, and an investor. So she's hitting on all of the cylinders, and plus they have a bus trip, and Bruce is still not legally allowed to drive in most states, so that can't happen.
I was going to chime in also. It just occurred to me that there's probably, this isn't your typical go to a RIA and see some guy stand up there and hold a meeting for beginners, although it could be. If you're a beginning investor, you'll learn a ton. When the market was good prior to 2008, I spent years flipping 3 to 5 houses a month. And, so I think I'm pretty seasoned. It just occurs to me that we may have some seasoned investors on here that think this is going to be a very basic opportunity or course. Tim is absolutely extraordinary. First of all, he got me a mortgage last year, which is extraordinary. I'm very complicated, but I probably talked to Tim at least once a month on some idea, some project. He doesn't give you one option. He'll give you 5, which I love about it. It's not this is the one way to do it. It's A, B, C, D, E. He is by far the best and most knowledgeable mortgage broker I've ever seen, and I think Andy is they make a great pair. Tim, should we tell the story of their Airbnbs up there in Daytona Beach? I called him one day. And he said,
you just asked if you should tell the story, and then you went right into the story.
I'm going to go ahead and tell it anyway.
What if I jump off this diving board? Bye.
I called Tim and he said, yeah, that's fine. He said, I'm kind of busy. A couple of my units into Daytona just fell into the ocean. I said, oh my God, what are you going to do? Oh, don't worry about it. He had 5 solutions, but it was okay. I don't even remember what his out was, but I think you'd have my point being, whether you're brand new or very seasoned, this is a guy that you're not going to be able to stump. It's going to be a really good course. And I love you, Bruce, but I think it will actually be better than if you had taught it.
Oh
So I
man,
just-
you see, I said that. It's okay for me to say that, but you're supposed to disagree with me. Tim's not here to make feel good right now.
I'm going to agree. Anyway, show up for the course, guys, especially, I mean, you can't beat it for free, and it'd be worth it if you were paying for it. So that's my plug.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, that's absolutely true. And Bruce made a very good point. While, you know, he would be approaching this more as you're an agent, here's how to go look at this sort of stuff. I think the perspective that Andy's going to do, and Andy is really the trainer in all of this, that she's kind of got a heart for doing that and been doing the training for a long time. Tim is Tim's the hired gun talent that'll chime in regard to some of the pieces that are there, and together they're like the dynamic duo. I've known them. That's really, you know, I met them, I think, before I even met Jim, and they're the real deal. So like Jim said, first off, it's free. So don't miss the opportunity to take some great education that's free. And I can assure you, seasoned or not, you're going to find stuff here you weren't aware of. They're also keenly aware of lending laws and all of the things that are there. Her real theory is, let's make this as easy as possible and learn about the things that you need to do that basically say, I don't want this deal. I don't want this one. Let's move on to the next one. And that's what's important to know. You don't want to fall in love with a deal. You don't want to waste your time on something where you're letting emotion get the best of you. You really want to approach it very pragmatically, have a good business practice in place, and they'll teach you that. And like we said, I will remind you again, it's free. It's next Wednesday. Click on the buttons and go sign up. That's the story. I'm sticking to it. This will, if you haven't had a chance to scan the screen capture it or click on the QR code now, and we'll count to 5 and ask Alyssa to take the slide back down, and we'll continue for another 5 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rock on. Take it down. Okay.
All right. Well, guys, continue for another 5 minutes. Tim, you have 5 minutes to fill. I don't.
No, I don't have anything else. I think this has been a very interesting call, and we've had a few interesting people kick in. But I think really and truly, I think it's a time where we're all sort of, we've got the 4th of July behind us. July is historically a month where a lot of you know that your competition is not doing a lot this month. They're putting on suntan lotion and laying by the pool if they can get away with it. And this is where the real dynamic investors can really rock and roll and get stuff done, because it's particular in our market. It's not like that the probate market takes a break during the summertime. It doesn't. Probate's a year-round marketplace, and it is the same month over month over month. And in fact, the issue there is it's a great time to also talk to attorneys and the rest of it, because they're dealing with things that get slowed down sometimes very specifically because of the time in the market. And that's a problem. And you, again, can help with that process, because if you can help them move on, you can get that done. And it's a great time for you to paint yourself as somebody that can help them get to close faster. So it may be a great time for you to talk to attorneys. Lots of things you should be doing this month that you may not be immediately planning to go do, and you can definitely get that done. So we'll make that happen. And you should make that part of your business. Bruce, I want to say one more thing. Somebody said they had a problem, a glitch on their phone with the QR code. And Alyssa, I'm going to ask you to put the slide back up, if you will, so that we can kind of close with that and leave it. The other thing is, it's www.alltheleads.com/ just the word training. So if you can't scan the QR code and you're going to look at it, that's easy to go look at and get it there. And Alyssa, put the slide up on the Zoom itself, so that they can see it on the screen and scan the code, if you would. Anyway, Bruce, I'm going to give it back to you. I covered a little bit of the time. If you want to sing for a few minutes, that'll be fine as well.
No, I'm good. I want everyone to, I want to leave you guys with this one thing. This business can be quite simple. Do not make it more complicated than it needs to be. There are things that you don't have to know and you don't have to be an expert in to offer a serious value to the prospects that you're calling, you're mailing, you're sending to your website. Those are the 3 most important things that you can be doing. Call, send a mail, direct them to your website. because many times they're not going to open a letter or answer a phone on someone that they've never heard from before when they're going through a tough time and go, yeah, come sell the house today. You're building a relationship that you're building a pipeline. Let me say that you're building a pipeline. Now, as you get further along and once you automate your system, you got your calls happening, you've got your letters going out, your website's getting some hits. As you do that and you kind of run out of projects to work on, go add some postcards into your campaign. Go build a brochure. Go to the listing class and create a listing presentation for yourself. Add YouTube videos into the mix. Start writing some blogs. Develop those attorney relationships. You can make this advanced, but you don't have to be advanced to see success. So I just want everyone to know that. Start with the basics. The basics will get you business. Just do them. And then start adding things in over time, and you'll be just fine.
Perfect. And since we're doing nuggets of wisdom, earlier in the call, something occurred to me that I've mentioned before when Doug was talking about completely changing his approach. One of my earliest mentors in the business many, many, many years ago told me something that I always have remembered and tried to use. When you come to a place where you're not sure what you should do, figure out what everybody else is doing and do the opposite. that has served me so well over the years, because most people do not take, they take the easiest approach. They don't take the best approach in the long term. So anyway, that finish with the nugget of wisdom. And are we ready for a closing, Bruce? Are we ready to go?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're ready.
All right. I want to thank each of you for being here today. I want to particularly thank all those that actively participated. And I want to challenge each of you, take one thing that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.